Have you ever been told that if you change your mindset, you can change your destiny? Many spiritual individuals preach this idea, but have you ever wondered why it's so difficult to sustain that changed mindset? The real reason is that our habits haven't changed. We might feel a shift for a few days, but we eventually revert back to our old ways of thinking and living, and our destiny remains the same. This idea might challenge your existing beliefs about how the world works, but bear with me as we explore it from the perspective of quantum physics and the fundamental nature of our reality. Imagine that our thoughts are made up of countless tiny quantum particles, like the basic building blocks of the universe. Every idea, every memory, is composed of these minuscule quantum elements. Most of these micro-thoughts are imperceptible to us, but they all contribute to the larger thoughts and experiences that we can consciously perceive. Based on this view, our thoughts are not just abstract concepts. They are energetic waves that project into the physical world around us. The bigger, more prominent thoughts create the scenes and experiences that feel tangible to us, while the smallest, most subtle thoughts shape the very cells and structures that make up our reality. These quantum particles are not just passive observers, but active shapers of our world. The mere act of observing or focusing our attention on something causes these particles to collapse into a specific state, manifesting a particular reality. This is known as the observer effect in quantum physics. Here's where it gets really mind-bending. Our lives are not continuous streams, but rather a series of discrete moments, like individual frames in a movie reel. Every single instant is a new rebirth, a fresh parallel universe branching off from the infinite possibilities that existed just a moment before. It's as if our thoughts are constantly flickering on and off, like a light bulb blinking rapidly. But because this happens at such a high frequency, we perceive it as a continuous stream of consciousness. When we're not actively directing our thoughts, our reality exists in a state of superposition, like Schrödinger's famous thought experiment with the cat that's both alive and dead at the same time. It's only when we observe or focus our attention that the quantum particles collapse into a specific configuration, determining which of the infinite possible futures we'll experience. This means that with every thought, every action, we're essentially creating countless parallel universes, each containing a different version of ourselves living out an alternative reality. Now you might be thinking, but I only experience one reality. How can there be parallel universes? The reason we don't perceive these other realities is that we're limited by our three-dimensional perception of space and time. We can't see the future or access these other universes directly. Think about it this way. When you look at a table with various objects on it, a teapot, a notebook, a computer, you perceive them all simultaneously. But in order to observe each object closely, you have to focus your attention on them one at a time, creating the illusion of a linear progression through time. If we could exist in a four-dimensional reality, time as we know it would cease to exist. Every thought, every quantum possibility would collapse into a complete parallel universe, all coexisting simultaneously. So, what does this have to do with changing our destiny? Well, because our thoughts are constantly shaping our reality at the quantum level, our habits and patterns of thinking are incredibly influential. If we keep returning to the same old thought patterns and habits, we'll keep recreating the same reality, the same destiny over and over again. The key to true transformation lies in sustaining a radically different state of consciousness, one that isn't entangled with our old patterns and delusions. This is easier said than done, of course, because our minds are constantly churning out thoughts and projecting realities based on our past experiences and conditioning. However, there is a way to break free from this cycle, according to the teachings explored in this video. It involves cultivating a state of present moment awareness, where you're not caught up in the past or future, but fully immersed in the gap between thoughts. In this state of mindful isolation, you're not struggling against your thoughts or trying to suppress them. Instead, you're simply allowing each thought to arise and dissipate without getting caught up in the story or drama surrounding it. As you sustain this practice over time, you'll find that you're able to rest more and more in the spacious awareness between thoughts, no longer compulsively recreating the same old reality based on habitual patterns. It's in these brief moments of open presence that you can insert a new intention, a new possibility, and gradually reshape your reality from the quantum level up. Instead of being trapped in the cyclical seasons of past, present, and future, you can transcend linear time altogether and exist in the eternal now. This is a radical reframing of how we think about personal transformation and the nature of reality itself. It's not about forcing your mindset to change through sheer willpower, but about relaxing into a state of stillness and allowing a new reality to emerge from the fertile void of pure consciousness. Of course, sustaining this level of present moment awareness is an immense challenge. Our minds are constantly wandering, pulled in a million different directions by thoughts, emotions, and external stimuli. But with consistent practice and a commitment to catching ourselves when we get lost in old patterns, it becomes possible to spend more and more time in this state of mindful presence, gradually reshaping our reality from the quantum level up. The message here is that our destiny isn't fixed or predetermined. It's a constantly evolving process, intimately intertwined with the contents of our consciousness from moment to moment. By learning to rest in the spacious awareness between thoughts, we can open ourselves to infinite new possibilities and reshape our reality in ways that might have seemed impossible from our old, limited perspective. It's a paradigm-shifting view of how we create our experience of the world. And while it might seem abstract or esoteric at first, it's a perspective that rings true at the deepest level of our being. A reminder that we are far more than mere physical beings, but creators of reality with every thought and every breath. To illustrate this point further, let's go back to the quantum world for a moment. At that subatomic level, the boundaries between objects break down completely. The solid matter that appears so unquestionably real to our senses is revealed to be mostly empty space, with infinitesimal particles whirling about governed by strange quantum laws. Even the most fundamental building blocks of reality, particles like electrons, photons, and quarks, seem to transcend our conventional understanding of what it means to be a thing. They don't exist as discrete, separate objects, but rather as clouds of probability, simultaneously being wave-like and particle-like depending on how they're observed and measured. This inherent uncertainty at the heart of material existence points to a deeper truth, that the world we experience as physical reality is really just one aspect of an unfathomably vast and interconnected quantum field. Every particle, every fluctuation of energy, is intimately entangled with every other particle and energy fluctuation throughout the entire universe. In other words, there are no true separations or boundaries in this quantum realm. It is a holistic, unified field of potentiality, with every thing constantly influencing and being influenced by every other thing at the most fundamental levels. What does this have to do with reshaping our reality through present moment awareness? Everything. You see, if we are to take this quantum view seriously, then we must accept that our own consciousness, our thoughts, our awareness, our state of being, is an inextricable part of this holistic quantum field. The inner world of our subjective experience and the outer world of observed phenomena are really just two sides of the same coin. By shifting our consciousness, by resting in that spacious, unconditioned awareness, we aren't just changing our inner mental state. We are literally shifting and reshaping the quantum field itself, the very foundation of reality as we know it. From this perspective, the practice of present moment mindfulness is far more than just a tool for reducing stress or increasing focus, though it certainly aids in those areas. It is a way of fundamentally realigning ourselves with the deepest nature of existence, unbinding our awareness from the narrow, historically conditioned filters of the personal self. As our sense of identity expands to include and embrace the full scope of our interconnected quantum reality, new vistas of possibility emerge that were previously blocked from view. We begin to experience a new level of profound freedom and creative potential that was always present at our core, but layered over by mental and emotional knots tied from past conditioning. With this radical openness of being, we can engage in what's being called quantum activism, a way of intentionally collapsing the quantum field into new expressions of existence. Instead of constantly recreating the same old reality based on habitual thoughts and unconscious beliefs, we can become conscious architects of our lived experience. This isn't some kind of supernatural hocus-pocus or magical thinking. It is a logical extension of our scientific understanding of the universe at its most fundamental levels, an invitation to step into greater coherence with the strange and wondrous truth that has been staring us in the face all along. Of course, concepts and philosophical ideas can only point to the lived experience itself. The real transformation happens when we commit to the practice, when we have the courage to face the turbulence of our minds with radical acceptance and unwavering presence. It's a journey of uncompromising self-honesty and relentless inquiry into the nature of self and reality. But for those who persistently walk this path, maintaining a beginner's mind along the way, the rewards are beyond what the rational mind could ever conceive. A whole new experience of being opens, one where the boundaries between self and world, subject and object, dissolve into a luminous expanse of freedom and co-creation. We come to know ourselves as permeable, infinitely malleable vessels for the universe to explore and experience itself in new, wildly creative expressions. In this ultimate quantum possibility, destiny itself becomes a mere concept, a structure that arises and dissipates from moment to moment. When we live anchored in the eternal presence at our core, genuinely unattached to any specific future, all that is left is creative wonderment. Thank you for joining us in today's journey. If you find this useful, consider sharing to those who may benefit. Until next time,